The new Counterculture Museum celebrates the beat poets' defiance against a post-war America that boasted censorship, radical patriotism, and stifling conservative ideals like America First. Sound familiar? They flocked here because it was one of the last places you could live creatively outside the heavy hand of conservative America. Which got me wondering, what would Kerouac think about modern San Francisco? What would it look like through his eyes? There really is only one way to know. I would have hopped the freight train up to Cisco like Kerouac did in the Dharma Bums, but I opted for the modern version, a commuter flight from Burbank to Oakland. Come to think of it, I don't think it's that different. A no-frills, bumpy little tin can where every other little happy bum around you is drunk is pretty on point. Cisco greeted me with precious sunshine and rare blue skies. The air was soft and the promise of every cobbled alley so great that I thought I was in a dream. On Seeing San Francisco, you easily see the appeal of the beat poets. The ocean, redwood forest, and rolling hills fed into their growing interest of Buddhism, Zen, Eastern philosophy, and the rejection of rampant consumerism. Being a port city and a longtime refugee for weirdos and wanderers, it was a natural haven for artists, and is miraculously still that today. Best put in Kerouac's own words, San Francisco is the only city I can think of that can survive all the things you people are doing to it and still look beautiful. And it is. The bell rings and I huff it downstairs to meet the 7-foot-tall legend, who I feel I haven't seen in 100 years. Poor guy is off a 16-hour flight, so I drag him down the street to Beat Patisserie, which is full of sweet and savory delights, the absolute best in the city. Buttered up and fully caffeinated, we drop down to Hotel Emblem just off Powell, which couldn't be better suited for our needs. The hotel was stumbling distance from everything good in the city, and if you were here to be inspired by the great beat writers of the past, well, they literally have it on tap here wall to wall. I've never slept in a poem before, but this is absolutely as close as you can get. And as long as you stay clear of the valet, the prices are beat poet friendly. As JMO checks us in, I bop down to the corner to grab some Burgundy and bourbon, as Kerouac surely would have done. The only difference is that now we call Burgundy Pinot Noir, and, that's just fine with me. Back in the room, we goofed on house records that they provided us, along with a ream of fresh paper for us to pound out fresh thoughts on the old Royal. In the beautifully lit bathroom, I freshen up when I get the feeling that someone's watching me. JMO then pours 2 shots for us to jumpstart the day, and I pop out on the balcony to get fully into the Beatnik mindset, so to speak. As I light that fuse, we are off. San Francisco is a golden place, the great jumping off point, and there is no better launch spot than the Buena Vista Café, which is established the same year that Kerouac arrived in '52. To watch the assembly line of this booze-laden rocket fuel is a marvel, and when you learn that they've made over 15 million of these in their time, I'm sure even Kerouac wrapped his lips around one as tankers bellowed below in the bay. We head up to North Beach, which is like a sad, beautiful dream of Europe and America, with its little curious shops with musical chimes that ring when you enter. This is where you put poetry back in your mouth, grabbing some fresh focaccia from Liguria, then heading up to Molinari for cold cuts of meat to make the ultimate park bench burgundy snack. There's homemade macaroons and handmade pasta, but for advanced users, nothing beats a carbonara wood-fired pizza or the massive single $35 raviolo from Cattonia. Perhaps a bit rich for Kerouac's blood, but as the boss was paying, this gold pillow quickly became a distant memory. Our leisurely lunch delayed us from meeting up with San Francisco city guides for a Beatnik tour, so we figured we'd hold up in Vesuvio Café, which they would surely pass by because it was the unofficial headquarters of the Beatnik movement. Sure enough, before we could even pound our beers, we peered the redcoats outside, waxing poetic about Ginsberg, Ferlinghetti, and Kerouac. This was hallowed ground, standing in the shadows of the infamous City Light bookshop, which defiantly published Ginsberg's mad poem Howl against the law, landing Ferlinghetti in the slammer for peddling obscenities. The charges were contested and overturned, bringing not just the existence of the beat movement to the rest of the world, but opening the gates to the cultivation of artistic expression. Miller, Salinger, Mapplethorpe, Sprinkle, Warhol, Flynn, Carlin, 4chan, Pornhub, you, me, all protected to freely express ourselves because Howl would not be silenced. That history is literally written in these streets. Our guides leave us under the neon shimmer of the girly clubs off Columbus Avenue, conveniently at the doorsteps of the Beat Museum.
That's Allen Ginsberg's typewriter right there.
Where our friend Brendan takes a sec to submerge us in beat culture. Here we get up close and personal with Jack's jacket that kept him warm on the road, and Ruth's doll Susie that kept her safe as she fled the Nazis. Here we hovered over the grotesque green Olivetti that Ginsberg pounded out those famous words about the best minds of his generation. Inundated with intimate collectibles, nothing shadows the original 1949 Hudson Commodore beast that Kerouac bounced coast to coast in, which, with somber gratitude, I got to sit behind the wheel of.
Crossing the country in something like this.
It's a movable house.
It's like a house.
This is literally a couch.
Yeah.
Brendan is a beatnik guru who brings this movement to life like no other. You realize immediately not just the importance of their new counterculture museum, but its dangerous, ironic relevance that couldn't have come at a better time. Drunk on the poetry of it all, as well as the shots and beers we strategically administered along the way, we wander back to the end of North Beach, discovering bespoke shops like Al's and Svag, which we witnessed firsthand that poetry could be the act of the living, not just writing. We decide it's time to jump into the future and hop into a Waymo self-driving cab. I think of all the modern amenities, Kerouac and his crew would have dug this the most, since hitching a ride at any time in any condition would have been a dream for the wanderlust Dharma bums, especially if you could hear some birds blow while you drifted across the city. Moments later and fully blown away, we arrive at the otherworldly Exposition Park. Built in 1915 for the World Expo, but seemingly taking a page out of ancient Greece, this park is space to breathe, to howl, to chant, to sing the poems I had been hearing in my head all my life. It's also where one goes to get their mind blown by balloons. At $45, I'm not sure Kerouac would have taken the bait, but if he did, he would have loved it. Emotions is a balloon experience that is hard to put into words as it's tactile and meant to attack the senses. Once birthed into this sprawling exhibit, you are left to let your inner child go batshit crazy. Belching bubble megaphones that beg popping, tranquil Turkish theaters with a window to other worlds, every room an evolution of a mind-altering experience that clearly gives solid reason to why marijuana is legal in San Francisco. Here you see influencers outdone by their surroundings, and Olympic-sized ball pits that put any Chuck E. Cheese to shame, so grand they put you in another mental plane. The experience is haunting and beautiful and at times meant to be uncomfortable and challenging. Some exhibits leave you with a strange dread, others with a nihilistic taste in your mouth. All of them, however, leave you with the pure wonder and excitement that comes with the innocence of being a child. And that is worth every dollar. Reinvigorated, we head back across town, stumbling on Downtown First Thursdays, one of the many street fairs boldly revitalizing San Francisco street life.
Did you make this? Oh yeah.
Performers, artists, handcrafts, street food, and all-out dance party DJ'd by Rebecca Black. Friday. But on Thursday is exactly what the Beats would have dug, being free artistic expression out on the streets, unbridled madness reverberating against the steel and stone of downtown. The alleys of Chinatown were like secret rivers of perfume and old wisdom and the whispers of silk shoes. We wander under paper lanterns and strings of tiny lights like some lost Dharma bums in search of the old Chinese poets. You can hear 1,000 years in the clatter of Chinatown dishes and the sudden laughter of a girl leaning from a window. It was just as Kerouac painted it. We duck into the very first fortune cookie factory to make a very familiar prop. Then, with a familiar friend,
That's Burgundy.
we submerge into the basement digs of Z and Y and have a veritable feast on classic Peking duck. After watching this master work, our table is overrun with delectable delights. Happy chatter all around as we devour
A succulent Chinese meal? Chinese meal?
Full and fabulous, we get back on the beat tip and cruise the Golden Sardine. A funky little wine bars turned speakeasy turned poetry house, aptly named by the way they pack people into their upstairs happening. The spoken word is very much alive and well here. Its spirit booms just as when Jack and Alan roam these streets. Shifting gears a bit and getting off the Burgundy train, we duck into the plainly named Cold Drinks Cocktail Bar, which serves up the fanciest cocktails in town. Here's where I got introduced to the Martinez, which becomes my new liquid best friend. Properly marinated, we jump down the street to the historic Keys Club to hear Jazz Mafia's take on Hancock's Thrust and Headhunters, two albums recorded in San Francisco whose sound reverberates off these hallowed walls like angels' timpanis. Jazzed up and boozed out, we decide to do an impromptu sit-in at Foreign Cinema, a beloved Frisco institution. Paired with good wine and great chatty company, we nib on some fresh delights as we bask in the glow of Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. Part resto, part revival house, part art gallery with a full bar, Foreign Cinema gives you al fresco fabulous in every frame. We then proceed to get drunk in Chinatown and listen to the old men laughing in the back rooms while all America snores in its orderly doom. Over Mai Tais at Li Po's, we get into a ruckus with two kids from the East Bay who are called Cheech and Chong. And after an impromptu sidewalk photo shoot, we duck into Mr. Bing's, where my cousin of all people happened to be out from Long Island. The magic of Chinatown knows no bounds. After we shut down Bing's, I drag dear old Jamo across town to the Mission. It's time to repent, dear Jamo. We've had a day of sin and it's time to repent, I howl at him as we pull up to the chapel. Our names are on the door with 2 press passes, allowing me to bring a camera into what is normally a cardinal sin. Inside, we let our eyes melt from the stars burning on stage as the infamous Emma Vodevil and her battalion of burlesque dancers perform a torrent of heart attack-inducing acts to a heaving and howling crowd. And before we can wipe our brow, we're spit back out in the dark of the city, which in turn spits us back into our hotel room, where I shut my eyes for a couple of hours. As day breaks, I grab my bag, a shot, and a cab back to the airport. It's over as fast as it started. The beautiful chaos and freaky freedom that the beats came out for is without question still booming here in the Golden Gate City. As I roll out of town, behind us lay the whole of America and everything Jamo and I had previously known about life and the life on the road. We had finally found the magic land at the end of the road, and we never dreamed the extent of that indelible magic that is San Francisco.